Welcome back to the Fit Minute Podcast, where we talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back. I'm your host, Gabby Mazur, and on today's episode, I have two guests. They are the founders and owners of breath.energy, Jake Parent and Kim Richter. Welcome to the show today. How are you both doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Grateful to be here.
Good. So I like to always start the show by introducing you guys and having you explain who you are and what you do and how you got into what you do. So Jake, I'll start with you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're talking about breathwork and how we're going to get into breathwork and why it's important. So why did you get into this and why did you decide to start breath.energy?
Sure thing. I really appreciate that. I got into breathwork because basically I looked at my life and I wasn't achieving my full potential. Like there was a dramatic gap between what I thought I was capable of and like the life that I was living, that I looked at what I was doing and saying, I should be doing much, much better than what I am doing currently in my life in all aspects, not any area in particular, but just overall, and thinking that there had to be a better way to show up in life and to execute, and went on a search to figure out how to do that, and kind of stumbled across breathwork. A friend invited me. Didn't work the first time, and because I come from a very I had an agnostic, atheistic background and just thought all of this stuff was woo-woo and superstition and not much to it. So the first experience definitely confirmed my opinion, and then I got badgered into doing it a second time, and the second time was a very powerful mental, emotional, spiritual experience. Was very enlightening, really touched me deeply, and it did unlock a lot of things in my life. And that began the journey of my own breathwork practice, and then eventually realizing that because I at the time was a bit of an outlier in the breathwork community of someone who's not into crystals and chakras and that stuff, led me on a journey to figure out like, hey, what is really going on with breathwork here? What is applicable? What isn't? And then basically did everybody's style of breathwork. There's about 15 different types of breathwork, did all of them, and took little pieces of everything that I liked and put it all together to create what we have today.
Yeah, so I kind of want to touch on the spiritual aspect of it first, because you're talking about being agnostic, atheist, and it can be a spiritual experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to like a god or to any of that. So people that are religious, you don't want them to be afraid of coming into something like breathwork, because if you are religious with your God and whatever religion you are, it can be spiritual in that way and bring you closer to that as well. But also for people that are atheist and agnostic, and can be spiritual, bringing you closer to yourself and to your being. So there's different types of spirituality with that, which is really cool when you talk about breathwork and energies. And you don't have to get into all the crystals and the woo-woo of that either. Like you said, there's so many different types of breathwork as well.
And you brought up some good points there that I'd like to talk on. When I discuss spirituality, it largely means that you realize that there is something greater than you, that you are not the end all. If you believe that you are the end all be all of the fabric of the universe and that it all begins and ends with you, that's your spiritual experience. But most of us are dedicating ourselves to a higher cause, a higher purpose, a higher being. I'm no longer atheistic or agnostic. That was just my position at the time. And that we do say when you come to breathwork, it's not going to fundamentally change your worldview. If you show up a Republican, you'll leave a Republican. If you show up a Democrat, you'll leave a Democrat. If you show up Christian, you'll leave Christian. It's not going to affect you in that way. It's just going to allow you to remove a lot of the mindset and roadblocks that we create in our own lives, so that you can show up completely 100% authentically as yourself.
The noise. It removes a lot of the noise.
Yeah,
for sure.
Goes away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into it as well?
Yeah, the first class we ever did, we did together, and nothing happened for either one of us. So it was mildly disappointing. So it took us probably about a year and a half or a couple of years before we tried it again. And that experience was unbelievable, ineffable. So Jake started doing breath work very consistently, and had a vision that he wanted 60 people doing breath work at a time, multiple times a week. And breath.energy was formed. So we moved into our new studio in January, and we've been loving it ever since.
What made you decide to try it the first time?
I see Jake squinting at me. The very first time, just the way that people had explained it, we thought, gosh, this could be a really great experience for connection and clarity and direction. And it wasn't. But the second time, Jake went without me, and he had to drag me there. Not going to lie, but I'm really glad that he did, because it was life changing.
I think you guys bring up a really good point about that too, is that the first time you do something might not necessarily resonate with you. But if you try it again, you may see something differently or have a different level of clarity with it, because you might not be open to whatever you're doing the first time. So if you're trying breath work for the first time, you might be like, this is dumb. Like, this is not my thing. But you might be going into it with a certain mindset or a certain view of it. Whereas the second time, you know what's coming, you know what you're going to be doing for the most part. And you go into it kind of with a different view of what it is. So, trying things more than once gives you a different idea or a different view, or allowing yourself to be open to new things. And I think that goes with anything, not just with breath work. I mean, people try yoga one time, they're like, I hate this. Or people try working out one time, or people try running, or whatever it is, even if it has nothing to do with exercise. They're cooking one time and they suck at it. But the first time you do something is always the worst time. So you have to give yourself time and energy to put into whatever you're doing to allow yourself to enjoy something or be better at something.
I'll say that one of the big differences between our first time and our second time was the facilitator. That the person that we went to the first time was used to working with people who were very adept at doing breathwork type experiences and didn't need much guidance, didn't need much coaching. If you're a coach and you're working with someone who's a natural athlete, as a coach, it's pretty easy lifting. If, on the other hand, you're working with someone who is not a natural athlete, it's quite a bit more work. And he wasn't used to that. He was only used to working with people who are naturally gifted. The person we went to the second time was definitely used to working with, people who didn't have those type of experiences, and was just a lot more working with it at a fundamental level. So that is because that's the type of person I am, that I'm not a gifted person, that I'm used to working with people who are like, I have no idea what's going on here. Our numbers right now are about 149 out of 150 people are going to have an experience their first time. And usually the one person is either on Adderall or have something else going on that's negating the experience.
I think that's a really good point you bring up too. You always have to take into account that relationship between you and whomever is facilitating or teaching, because you may not have a relationship with that person. It may not be the right fit for you. I definitely see, I like to relate this to, I used to work in a gym where I personally trained people, but there were like 8 or 9 other trainers. And sometimes I would sit with my clients and say, I want you to look around the room, and I want you to look at each one of these other trainers and tell me, look at each of their clients. Are any of those clients my clients? Are any of those people my people? And they're like, no, 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 no. I said, but they're their people. So there's somebody for everybody. You have to create that relationship, that connection. And, obviously when you're saying that's your type of client, that's your type of person that comes to you that needs a little extra care, that needs a little extra work, right? So you have to nurture that and nurture that relationship, because that's what you attract. So that other person that was the first time you went, what he attracts is that more advanced, the person that has that natural ability. And again, like you said, it didn't resonate with you. That's not, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here. I don't like this. You're not teaching me. I don't know why I'm here. But then when you went to somebody else that is nurturing that for you, that really resonates with you. So you do have to, again, give it another try, give it another shot, and don't write something off just because that first time didn't work out for you, right?
Mhm. And
Yeah.
we've had people come into Breathwork and said, "Hey, there's another guy in town who'd probably be a better fit for you. Go give him a try or her a try."
Yeah. So can you explain a little bit, you said there's so many different types of breath work. Can you explain a little bit about that, what they are, what they do, how they work, all kind of the inner workings of it?
Sure. So to explain that, I'm going to back up and explain breathwork just a little bit. That there are a couple different components to breathwork. The first one, obviously, is breathing. So the type of breathing that we do is called connected breathing. So most of the time, there's a pause in our breath. It happens so naturally that we don't notice it's there, and all we're going to do is remove that pause. So that's part of it. Another big part of our type of breath work is intentions. So we're going to have you set intentions, affirmations, what's your goals, your visions, your desires. You're coming to breath work for some reason. What is that reason? What would you like your life to be like tomorrow that is not like today? And that we're going to set an intention for that. And then so those are big parts of the type of breath work that we do, and that it is very mental, emotional. It can bleed over into the spiritual, but we largely focus on the mental and emotional aspect of it, and that we are very broad, very inclusive. Many types of breath work are very specific with how they do things. We're trying to find what resonates with you, not trying to get you to fit to the type of breath work. And then some of them, Wim Hof is the most popular, is a very physical type of breath work, meaning the type of breath work that you're doing with Wim is for a physical benefit, that it is having a healing, elevating growth effect on your body with the type of breath work that he does. So that's really usually the other types of breath work. They have a very narrow focus on what type of attentions they work with. And then they may have different rhythms in how they're breathing, which is one of the big differences in the different type of breath works. A lot of them are very, they have it is very specific. They want you to breathe at a certain tempo, at a certain rate, in a certain way. Ours is a little bit more broad, a little bit more inclusive. Again, that resonates with some people, and that they can find what works for them and go with it. And we walk them through a process so they can find them. And other people very much want, like, hey, just tell me exactly what to do and how to do it. And that doesn't resonate quite as much with them because they want they want it spelled out specifically.
Yeah, I agree. And I think because breathing is so natural, we have to do it, right? I think it's sometimes very difficult for people. I teach breath work. I teach yoga, Pilates at a university level. I teach it at my studio. But you have to teach it because a lot of times people come in and don't even understand how to breathe because it is natural. You have to breathe. Your mind automatically does it. So people often say to me, how do you want me to breathe? Am I breathing in? Am I breathing out? And a lot of times people hold their breath too. Very often people hold their breath and you're like, breathe.
Right.
Am I breathing in my nose? Am I exhaling out my mouth? Am I breathing in and out my mouth? Am I breathing in and out of my nose? And it's like, okay, hold on, take a step back.
We'll get
Let's
there.
just, we'll get there. Let's start from the beginning. And I just want you to think about movement and breath and moving with your breath and just one thing at a time. Let's start here, so it's interesting that people don't always connect that and how you have to teach people to breathe, right? But can you explain to me kind of some more of the physical, mental benefits of breath work and how all of these things relate to kind of health and fitness, and not just physical health, but mental health?
So it connects back to what we were kind of originally talking about, and that I saw that there's this gap between my potential, or like what I believed my potential to be, and what I was executing on, and the difference between those. And a lot of that comes down to that we all have struggles in our life. And some of us are, you get to a point where you're struggling at a higher level, that no matter how much you progress in life, there are always going to be things that we struggle against. And it's like, are you struggling with the remedial, or are you struggling with the advanced? And what breath work does is it helps remove that struggle, even if only momentarily. That for a couple of moments, that when people discuss grace, both physically and spiritually or emotionally, when they're talking about grace, what they're talking about is the removal of gravity. That when we see somebody who's truly graceful physically, it looks like gravity doesn't have the same hold on them that it does on us. That somehow they are freer in the environment than we are. And the same thing can happen emotionally, mentally, and spiritually through breath work, that you're released from a lot of that weight that is holding you down in life. And it allows you to be recentered, to be grounded, and to make progress in your life, whatever it is that you would like to make progress on, whether it's wealth, health, relationships, which are always like three big things that people always want to focus on in their life. And based off of your intentions, you can decide which one of those three aspects you'd like to show up for that day.
Right. I think, and now you touched on intentions, I wanted to kind of go back to that. I think that that's one of the biggest things too. I think we forget not to set intentions, but we forget that what we think is what we do. And if you are constantly focusing on an intention or a goal, that's what we work towards. So even if your intention is, I want to be happy today, I want to have less anxiety, I want to get this job, I want to graduate from college, I want to buy a house, whatever your intention may be, if you're setting that intention and then calming your mind and allowing your body to feel, you're working towards that intention, because you're saying it to yourself every single day, and you're working every single day towards that your mind is going to start to go, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to graduate from college, I need to work towards buying this house, I need to whatever it is, because you're actually telling yourself, I need to do this. And I think that it's so important to set that intention. When I teach a yoga class, I say, whatever, I don't care what your intention is. I need to pass this test, or I need to study today, or I just want to quiet myself. Set that intention for yourself. I don't care. It's not my intention. It's yours. It's what you need for yourself today. And so I think it's so important to understand that we have to do that, but we so many times forget and just go on with our daily lives and don't allow ourselves to think about those things, because we're just going with the motions, just like our breath, just like we breathe in and out every single day. Well, every single, breath. But you're just going along with the motions and not really setting those things in motion,
Yeah, it's and setting intentions is a skill set in and of itself. That when I first began this work, it was surprising to me that if I asked the random person, what's your dream house look like? Man, they know exactly. They know what kind of kitchen, they know what kind of exterior, they know what they want to look like. If I ask them, like, hey, what's a good day for you look like? If you could design your life day to day 3 years from now, what it would look like, they're kind of like, you're like, okay. Well, let's take a step back and figure out what it is that we're looking for in our life. Like, what is it that's going to make your life meaningful? What is it that's important in your life? Like, why would your life be important, and what kind of life would you like to lead?
Yeah. And how do you have a path if you're, what are you working towards? How do you have a path if you don't set some sort of intention? If you don't know what you want, you're kind of just wandering aimlessly.
And that's one of the things that, like, if you don't have an intention, someone else does, and they'll give you one. It's not going to be yours. But
that I never considered.
well, you will show up every day for somebody's intention, just maybe not your own. You're going to say something, Kim?
I was just with breath work. We love setting intentions because the work that we do, because it is work with breath work, it's in the name. So the work that you do really does manifest into the intention that you set. But a lot of times, lately I've been encouraging people to set an intention at the beginning of their day. What do they want their day to look like? What do they want their day to look like next month, next year? There's been plenty of times where I've seen Jake in his own journal being able to write out his gratitudes on things that he wants to have happen in his life. And lo and behold, later they happen. So it's literally speaking it into existence and the magic happens.
I said, so I teach at ASU, not every semester, but I do teach randomly at ASU. And last semester, I told the kids, you have to have some sort of goal. And even if you don't meet it right away, you have to understand that you have this intention, and at some point, if it's in the back of your mind, it might come true. And I graduated from ASU, and after I graduated from ASU, I wanted to go back to college, but I never went back, but I wanted to work at ASU. And over the course of probably a couple of years, I just randomly would go and apply for jobs and apply for jobs and apply for jobs. And I think I applied for 4 or 5 random jobs, just random. I don't even know what they were, but I didn't have an idea of what I wanted. I just applied. And, here I was 15, 16 years later, and an opportunity came about. I didn't apply. Someone approached me and said, this came about. Someone offered it to me, but I can't do it. Would you want to do this? And I said, yeah, of course I would. And, now I've been teaching on off and on since 2020. I've been teaching yoga and Pilates at ASU. And I said, you never know when it comes about, but the intention was set 18 years ago. I set that intention in my head that I want to work at ASU. I want to be a teacher, or I want to do something at ASU. I applied for those jobs. And even though I kind of gave up on that, it was still in the back of my mind. So that intention was set, that idea was in there. And at some point, it came to fruition. So don't give up on your dreams, but always have the ideas of something that you want. And at some point it may come true. And it's true. It's very true that if you, even if you're not setting that same intention every day, but if there's something that you want or something that you feel, or there's something that's important to you, if you put it in there and say it to yourself, like, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, you have the intention there that may sometime down the line become a reality.
And it is one of those things that all of us in our life, we set an intention or a goal or desire that we have. And as we progress closer to it, and we get up really close to our goal, we may look at it and go, that's not quite what I wanted. And you can take those micro shifts and get closer to what it is that you do want. But you have to have a target. You have to have something to shoot for to begin with. One of my things that I love to say is, not here is not a place. So sometimes people will set intentions about, well, I don't want this. And it's like, all right, we'll take one half step to the side. And now you no longer have that. Are you happy? It's like, no. Okay. Not here isn't a place that you can go to. And then the other thing that Kim and I love is the specificity of intentions, which is really what the skill that you develop over time, that when you ask for things, you learn to ask more specifically what is you're looking for, that when you step up to the deli counter, you don't go, one sandwich, please. That leaves a lot of room for interpretation. And the more specific you can be about what it is that you desire, the more likely you are to get it. I'm sure everybody that is listening to this has had the experience in your life where you see somebody who is just remarkably, unbelievably successful. And you're like, this person, they're like, I'm smarter than them. I'm sharper than, like, every skill set across the board. I think I am somehow better than this, and they're outperforming me dramatically. And it's like, the world isn't wrong. That person has achieved those results for a reason. And instead of being upset that they've somehow outperformed, what was it that allowed them to do that? And a lot of times it's setting the intentions and the ability to receive.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep and very, very true. I mean, and I think a lot of us have felt that way or thought that in our lives too, for sure. So you have an actual facility, but you also do online breathwork trainings as well. Can you tell me a little bit about both of those? So in a breathwork class, if you're in there physically or if you're online, what does that entail? When do you hold those? tell me a little bit more about that.
Right now, we have all of our classes are in the evening, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evening. Times vary. You can check our website for the schedule. They're generally about an hour and a half to 2 hours. You come in, we have a very comfortable setting here. Everything is like literally all you need to do is show up and bring a water bottle. We have everything else that you need here: pillows, mats, blankets, everything to keep you comfortable. And then we guide you through the breathwork experience. Same thing with online. All of our live classes are also streamed online. So you can go to our website, breath.energy, and register for a class there, see our full schedule.
Where are you located?
We are located in Tempe, Arizona, on the corner of Mill and Southern.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty close to me. Very nice. Is there anything that you feel like listeners need to know about breathwork or need to know about you, or anything that might intrigue them to try it for the first time, or that might pique their interest as to why they should do this?
I would ask Jake to go over there is no struggle and the struggle is real, because people have been really enjoying that one lately.
So I have this saying all the time: there is no struggle and the struggle is real. And what I mean by that is there are people in your life that you see struggling with things, and the thing that they're struggling with is very easy for you. I'm thinking of a friend that was like struggling with this spreadsheet and trying to figure out how to get this report. And to me, it was like 3 button clicks on the keyboard and it's like, it's over. Like, why are you struggling with this? There is no struggle here. And so what that statement means is that person was really struggling with that task, but the task isn't the struggle. There is no struggle, that it's very easy. And whatever it is you're struggling within your life, somebody else is doing it easily, that it's not a struggle for them. So your struggle is real and there is no struggle. That if you have the right mindset, if you have the right relaxation, everything that you're struggling with becomes easy. And over the last 6 years, a lot of the struggles that I had 6 years ago, things that would have crushed me 6 years ago are like, hey, before 9:30 a.m., brush it off, moving on. Like it's not even an issue. So breath work really does help identify the struggle and then release the struggle so that you can execute easily in life.
I think a lot of that has to do with the mindset, and breathwork does help with the mindset as well. Obviously, with just the breathwork itself, but also setting the intentions. But you may have a mindset of certain things, like you said, but prior to 6 years ago, you have kind of a tunnel vision or a view of the way things are. So I'm struggling with this Excel spreadsheet. I hate Excel. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This sucks.
Mhm.
But you kind of have a different view of it. Okay, well, this really isn't that hard. I can learn it. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so how do I figure this out? Who can help me with it? And okay, that was easy. You can learn anything, you can do anything, and it's all in how you view it, right? It's all in how you take that time. And I think that, with breath work, you have kind of the meditation of it that allows you to kind of calm those thoughts in there and take a different view or a different look at the things that you are doing, no matter what it is in life, no matter if it's something in your daily life or work or thoughts in your mind, even calming thoughts in your mind. If you're having trouble sleeping, if you're having trouble with anxiety, if you're having trouble with depression, those are things that can really, really help with your thoughts and with things that you struggle with, for sure. Yeah.
And on top of that, if people struggle with asking for help or receiving help, breathwork can help with those as well. So then when they're in that situation with that Excel spreadsheet, if they have a partner who makes spreadsheets for everything in life, then they can maybe go to said partner and ask for help and be able to receive that help then.
Yeah, absolutely. Asking for help instead of just trying to push through it on your own. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with asking for help. I think that's a big one. People don't want to ask for help, or they don't want to look stupid, or they don't want to they just don't want to ask for help, period. Like men asking for directions. It's, it's funny. It's funny. Not every man doesn't ask for directions.
We have Google Maps now, so I like we don't need it's like Google Maps told me what to do. I don't have to pull over.
That's fair. So, is there anything else you want, and both of you, ask both of you this, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with today that you feel is important for them to know or understand, or that you feel you really should be out there in the world?
I think the thing that I would like to leave them with is that they're here for a reason. They're here for a purpose, that they've been given a specific set of skills, talents, and desires that overlap in a way that is unique to only them. And that is their gift to the world. And it's also their gift to themselves. And that the sooner that they can fully tap into that and unleash it, the better it is for them, the better it is for the rest of the world.
Do you have anything for us, Kim?
Sorry about that. Someone was knocking at the door. I would say just that everyone to remain open, not only just to be open to the experience of breathwork, but just open in life, because you never know what is going to come through. And there's wonderful things that lie on the other side as long as you're open to those experiences. And the quote that I always go back to, that I always want to leave everybody with, is that love is always the answer.
Love is always the answer. I agree. Well, thank you so much, you guys. So if people want to find you, the website is breath dot, like the period, energy. So breath.energy, not breath.energy.com, just breath.energy. So you can find them, the in-person classes and the online classes there. And also, you are giving a free online course if you want to do an online class if you want to do an online class. So can you give us a little information on that as well?
Sure thing. If you'd like to participate in an online breathwork class with us, we'd love to have you join us. You can go to our website, breath.energy. And whenever you go to register for an online only class, the code would be FITMIN. So FITMIN. Plug that into the code at checkout and it'll give you a free class.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, you guys. Jake, Kim, thank you. I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I will post that also in the show notes so you can find both of them on their website and find that online course and the FitMin as well. So you'll have that code. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. If you want any more information on Destination Fitcations or any more information on breath.energy, you can find those in the show notes as well. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you all next week.